Hey everyone, Michaela here. Fucking exhausted. It's been a day. Start with, I guess, from the beginning. It's Sunday, and not the best day to try to do all this stuff, apparently. So I went to the airport in Tapachula to try to get the export permit. Again, I probably won't need it. All right, probably won't need it until Guatemala, but it's good to have. Or I probably need to get one in Nicaragua. I'm still not 100% if I'm going to even need it because I have all these other documents that, may fulfill the requirements. But swung by the airport. They aren't open. The website says they're open 24/7. It's a big fat liar. Okay, dropping that expectation or attachment and moving on. So went to the border and went in to get my passport stamped. That was easy. And then you have to have both your little receipt that the pass, the visitor's pass or tourist pass, and then you also have to have the receipt from where you paid. So if you're going to do this, anybody out there, that's necessary. They want the receipt as well. Thank God I had it. It was in my folder. I didn't know what the heck she meant, but it was in my folder. Thank God. And then I had to wait for the other office to open to get my TIP back, my deposit for my car. And it was $400. So it was about $500 total when I paid it, but that was like processing fees or whatever. The deposit I'm supposed to get, or that I got back, was $400. So I wasn't going to just wave that off and say, screw it, and keep going, which was good anyway, because on the Guatemala side, they wanted to see that I had done the exit paperwork and turned in my TIP. So I had to wait till 9 to get that done. And so I went outside because the animal inspector wasn't there. And so I was waiting on him. And then one of the guys showed up, but it wasn't the one that could do the paperwork for the animal inspection. And I was processing in my head, like, why does the exit require an inspection? But I'm trying to do it all correct. I don't want to have to be sent back for just trying to skip steps or whatever. So talking that through, turns out the guy suggested that. He looked at all my paperwork. He's like, why don't you just try going into Guatemala with what you have? And if not, they send you back and, you try again tomorrow when our guy is here. And of course, this is all in broken English and then the translator app, and just makes it a million times more heightened. So I said, okay. So I went back in to do the TIP part for my car. That took a while. I had to wait for the guy in front of me. That took forever. And then she wanted to go out. She took pictures of my car. Wanted to see inside, I guess, the VIN, the mileage. I don't know. So that took a little longer than expected. And then went across to the Guatemala side. And right when I pull up, there were guys there. They're called fixers, and I've read about them, that essentially they are civilians that get paid to help you cross the border. And right away they were trying to, like, two guys came up and they wanted to give me exchange money, right? So go from Mexican pesos to something with a Q. I'm not sure what, even if I knew, I probably couldn't remember right now. My brain is fried. So I exchanged a little bit of money, I had to pay like $3 USD via tarjeta, via card, to go through the little fumigation. They spray your car, which I didn't get my window up in time. So I had to, fortunately I had baby wipes there. So it got my shoulder and the inside of my window, but whatever. So if that takes me out, then you'll know what happened. But when I parked my car, one of the fixers came and helped me and I let him do it. I wasn't going to fight it. He seemed like a genuine guy, an older guy. And so he brought me to the animal place where there was a woman there, and she went through all my stuff and printed out copies and stamped all the copies and charged me, it was like $55 for all four to have this done, which is not terrible. But I wouldn't have known where to go without this guy. So super grateful for him. He was an angel. He said his Tia was named Michaela, so or Michaela in Mexico. And then from there, he took me to get my passport stamped, and he even filled out my paperwork for me. And then from there, sent me to we had to go into Guatemala, walked into the other side, and he took me to get copies of my car stuff and my passport and all the things. And then took me to another guy to exchange some money, more money. His fee was 1,000 pesos, which ends up being like almost $60, like $57 USD. Totally worth it at this point. Like, he totally sped things up for me, and I'm grateful for him. And for the love of me, cannot remember his name. I keep wanting to say Leo, but it was a 3-letter name, but that's the name of my cat. I feel like I would have put those together, but I asked him twice, and it just kept slipping my brain. So then he sent me in to do all the paperwork for my car, and the guy wanted, the registration was enough. I didn't have to have the title, which fantastic, because it's still financed. I don't have the title. In Texas, you don't get the title until it's paid off. You just have your name on the registration, which I've read, this has been a concern for me, and I've read most of the countries, the registration is enough, but you never know. You get that one guard that insists on a title, and you're either going to have to come back the next day or go to a different border or border crossing or something. So he came out, inspected my car, then wanted to see the documentation for all the animals, because he saw there were animals in there, which I had already done. And then went back inside. He had me sign a few things and gave me a document. You don't pay for the TIP, for the car pass there. You got to then take that document somewhere else. So I had to go find my fixer again. And he took me to the right place to pay them. And then went back to the other guy. Gave me, in Guatemala, they do a sticker, which makes sense to me. Like in Mexico, there's no sticker. You got to carry around your paperwork. And if you get pulled over or whatever, they don't know if you're there legally in your vehicle or not. But with this sticker, makes more sense. I went through a lot of checkpoints and didn't get stopped once. So that was nice. The whole thing took about 2.5 hours. So I left my car running. You can't drive it without the fob. So I had it, but you can't lock it either. So I was going off of faith that my dogs are going to be enough of an issue to deter anybody from reaching into my vehicle to, just grab anything. I knew they couldn't take off with a vehicle, but they could have even taken a dog because they wanted it. But nothing like that happened. And then was waved through, made it across the border into Guatemala, and chaos ensued. The roads aren't terrible. Now, right at the border, they're not great. But the courtesy that was in Mexico around getting out of the way isn't really much of a thing here. Many people on bikes, so they are still kind of sometimes on the side, so you can pass them, but a lot of them aren't. They just hang out right in the middle. So once I crossed into Guatemala, I had a little under 4 hours to get to where I'm at now. And I'm in Escuintla, Escuintla, something like that. And so for the first 3 hours of that, it was snail's pace. And I'm going through a lot of small towns. Now, the country is so beautiful, I don't have words. I'm in awe, but also so irritated because you get behind one, there's no other alternative route. So all vehicles are on this road, big trucks, buses, regular people, bikes, everything. So you get behind one big truck and, there aren't turn lanes. You can pass and you don't necessarily have to wait for a passing lane. Like people just pass when you can pass, and you can pass more than one, or I don't know if you're supposed to, but we pass more than one vehicle at a time. If you can just shoot past a bunch of line of cars and get to the front, then do it. Um, but of course, it's very windy, so you got to be able to. It's just Mario Kart. Um, so that was frustrating. I was already mentally exhausted from the border crossing and the wondering if I'm going to make it, or if I'm going to have to wait another day and all of that. So that was intense. And then the drive, a bit frustrating until it started to really open up the last hour. And that the roads were actually pretty nice. And some of them turned into 2 lane on each, 2 lanes each way, not together because they're on separate parts of the area. But that was better. Very interesting to see. The folks on the way of life here is, I mean, it's just so different from the US. Like, for instance, a lot of people will ride in the backs of trucks here, and most places in the US it's not allowed. And I saw it a lot in Mexico, but not really to this extent. And they have like metal bars. They'll get like a small pickup truck, and then the bed of the truck will be fitted with, it almost looks like bed railing, like some of it's more ornate and intricate. And you'll have 9, 10 people in there. And it's not just people like going to work. I mean, they're women that look like they were dressed up. There were tons of kids. And then they also, another method of travel is everybody on the bike, on the scooter. So I've seen families of 4 where it'd be like dad, kid, like dad, how did they have it? Because there was never a kid in the back. Maybe they put a kid in the, anyway. But you'll see like 8 legs on these things. Or some people, they'll be on a smaller bike and you'll see the 2 adults, but you just see legs sticking out the sides that are the kids, because they don't have anywhere to put their legs. So they're just kind of out. Some of the kids are just standing up between the parents on the bikes. I my mind's going through all the horrible things that could happen, but it's just the norm here. And it's impressive how many people they can put on a bike, and they just go right along. So what crossed through my mind was the proximity to each other, and then also just being crossed my mind as in it's just different from the culture I'm from. No judgment. I'm in awe of it. The other thing is like the 10 people in the truck, because I saw one truck at a gas station and everybody was just waiting in the bed of the truck, I guess, while the guy got gas. And I'm thinking, I don't even want to wait for one person to be able to go do what I want to do. Like, I don't like going shopping with people. It's just, let's just go. I got an idea of how, and very individualistic culture, clearly, that I'm coming from, and very privileged to be able to say that. I say this tongue in cheek. I'm, again, in awe that at how different it is. And then the beauty, it's so stunning. So I had the frustration and the fear and the stress of the border crossing, then the frustration with the drive, and then today's also my daughter's birthday. So all of that, in addition to considering where I was 24 years ago, headed into back labor for 8 hours with this kiddo, and I'm just in tears on this drive because it's beautiful, and I'm also terrified and wondering what the hell I'm doing. And then juxtaposed with where I was 24 years ago, scared. My husband split while I was pregnant, so I didn't know what life. I was 20, like it was just a mess. It was a mess, but I would give anything to go back and be able to do that again and to do it better. So it's been a day. So then I get here where I'm supposed to be. Well, my maps, I use Waze, and sometimes the address in Airbnb doesn't give me the correct spot that I need to go, and so they'll often send a link to with a Google map, and so I'll have to use that to get to where I'm actually going. So that happened today. It's a little frustrating, but it was only like a 10-minute difference. And then I get here and the guards don't want to let me in through the gate, and they aren't even trying to understand. They're not. They just want me to put something in the pin pad. Like, it was a young kid. He was little shit, and he just kept sending me back to the pin pad. And so I kind of turned around and went and hung out in a spot where I wasn't in the way. But I was still in that vicinity, on their property, I guess. And so he sent another guy to tell me to move. And it's a guy like in a gray tank top, not even in full uniform. And he's just staring at me. And I'm like, what? And he keeps wanting me to move. I'm not in anybody's way. And so I'm like, no, I'm not moving. And so he just keeps staring. So I roll up my window. At this point, fuck you. I don't care. I don't care. And I'm trying to explain. And the woman that has the Airbnb is speaking to me in Spanish via voice memo. And I'm like, I can't understand you. So she ends up calling the security guards, and they ended up letting me in. There was another guy that came out, was a lot more understanding, a lot more patient, and let me in. But it was just kind of the cherry on top, right? So we made it though, and thoroughly exhausted. I've definitely been in the car for more hours than I was today, but not at this stress level. My stress level's through the roof. And yes, all of this is self-inflicted. It's hopefully leading me to what I'm looking for. It's a privilege to be able to do all this. And I'm sure my cortisol levels are off the charts. I had this idea of, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just wait another day. I'm not attached to my timeline, or I'll go to a different border and try a different guard. And that's all talk. I mean, that's what I would have to do. But my flippancy, or my, I guess, arrogance, and thinking that it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It's when you're in it, it's like, I don't know. It just, the stakes they feel a lot higher. I don't know that they are, but they feel higher. Now, I'm not trying to do anything illegal, so that helps, right? Like, I'm not bringing in anything I shouldn't be bringing in. I'm not trying to do anything wrong. It's just my fate is in other people's hands, and that's a hard position for many people, particularly the hyper independent, when especially that's a result, it's a trauma response that leads us to be that way. And yeah, so it worked out. I'm so grateful. There weren't any real major hiccups, right? The guy not being there, well, the airport place not being open for my export permit, that's okay. We don't necessarily have to have that yet. And then the what was the other hiccup? Shit, I can't even remember now. I guess there wasn't one. Just the guards being jerks, and then the ride being slow. One of the dogs did throw up in the car. Dude started like standing on top of the cat carriers, and they're soft. So my cats were getting squished, and I was so mad at him, and I pulled over and made him get off of them, and then got back in the car and started driving again, but kept noticing that he didn't want to stand where he usually stands. And I hadn't seen, because the carriers were there, I didn't see that there was puke, and I didn't hear it. I didn't smell it, nothing. And so thinking, okay, maybe he needs to use the restroom. So I pull over and let them out, and sure enough, there's puke. And I have this like cover that it's almost like a basket that fits into the back that they're in. So it was an easy cleanup, but so yeah, when we look at all the data, not horrible setbacks. It's just my personal experience was a rough one, and I think the animals would say the same. So we're here for today. There's not much to see as far as view here. Where I'm at, it's pretty surrounded by housing, and then it's kind of low. So, but when I did come in, there's gorgeous mountains. There's so much lush greenery, so many purple flowers, and lots of running water, like rivers and streams, and the people just smiles. Everybody seems to be smiling, and it's really neat to see. And then also the way of life, right? Like that we're all so close that it seems they seem to do everything together. And it's a level of intimacy that in our individualistic society in the US, we don't really see. Even I think among Latin cultures. Now it's significantly more prominent among Latin cultures, but the level at which it is here in Guatemala is it's really cool to see. So tomorrow on to Honduras. My fucking printer won't work. Sorry for all the F-bombs today, but that's just where I'm at, folks. So I needed to make more copies for the animal stuff, and I didn't want to have to go find another copias place tomorrow, but I may have to pay another fixer to help me get across to no, it's not Honduras. We're going into El Salvador tomorrow. And then I'm there for 2 stops. The first stop is 4 nights. The next stop is 1 night. And then, so that'll be a little bit of a breather, which we need. I'm not thrilled that we have a whole other border crossing tomorrow, but it is 5 borders in 2 weeks. So it is what it is. We will be okay. I ate a cup of noodles and might make a little more food, and then I'm going to crash, and we'll get up and do it all again tomorrow. So thanks for hanging out. See you again soon.